Okay, hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Victor, and I'm going to be your anchor for today's training. So it's a new certification, it's a new down at Cisco. If you are very new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and tell others that are interested in maybe Cisco certifications, CompTIA certification, AWS, and anything tech career. Now, we want to consider the Cisco certification. There is a new baby in town, and it's called the CCST. That's a Cisco Certified Support Technician. Now, previously, we used to have other certifications like the Introduction to Networking. We used to have ITE. But Cisco, over the years, I think even after pandemic, a lot of reshuffling was done. And now you have more reshuffling being done in terms of certifications. So if you are planning to do DevOps, if you're planning to do cybersecurity, if you're planning to do network engineering to a great extent, Cisco have some entry-level certification that can fit into that, that can give you like a good entry into tech. Now, Cisco have it as two entry certifications as CCST, cybersecurity, and CCST networking. So if you want to get to this page, just go to cisco.com and go to certification. You should be on this page. I think Cisco certification started with the CCIE, I think sometime around 1993. Over the years, they have evolved with time. And of course, Southtech is a Cisco partner. And what we want to do for you is to bring you training curriculum, training assistance, training guidelines for you to be able to prepare for either your career or also to help you for your certification. So in terms of technology, you have different tracks, right? So, but in all of them, if you're getting into tech and you want to go the Cisco route, you have these two options. So these are the two options we have now in Cisco. CCST, which is called the, it's called the, let me refresh it. It's called the Cisco Certified Support Technicians. So this is like an entry level or like your first level. Now it has two tracks. It has networking, and it also have, you also have, what was it called? You have cybersecurity. So our focus here is networking. So we're going to be using this Cisco Certified Support Technician Networking curriculum to do all of the learning in the next 4-5 weeks. So like I said, DevOps, cloud engineering, data engineering, in the cloud, of course, you are doing DevOps, you're doing cybersecurity, any of those things in that line, or you want to get into tech, networking is like a very, very fundamental thing you need to learn. The reason is that everything you have in tech is going to revolve around the network. If you have a website is going to sit on the network. If you have a network, so to say, it's going to sit on the network. If you have a cloud application, it's going to sit on the network. So typically anything you're going to do is going to stay on the network. And what's a network? A network is just two or more devices or endpoints trying to connect it together to share resources. And those resources can be files, it can be data, it can be hardware, it can be just anything resources, right? So when you have two or more computers or systems or devices connected to share resources, you have a network. And that is the fulcrum in which you have every other thing in tech being hinged on. Okay, so that is just to tell you where we are in learning. So after your CCST networking or cybersecurity, you can now move on to do either CyberOps or CCNA or DevNet, or you can go over to do maybe Linux or to do DevOps or to do cloud or to do data engineering or to do any of those or core cybersecurity. Okay, so I will try to explain what the curriculum is about. So what are we going to be learning in the next 4-5 weeks? So our class times are really going to be around 3 to 4 times every week, just for an hour plus. I'm going to talk about the timetable later on. But so let me talk about the content of the certification. If you check the Cisco Certified Support Technician Networking, I will drop this on the group. The exam is about 50 minutes, is about $125. And this is one of the cheapest, most affordable entry-level certification we have. Microsoft have some certifications that are around $80 thereabouts, $80 to $120, depending on which part of the world you are in. CompTIA have an equivalent, which is depending on where you are connecting from. We're also a CompTIA partner. You have exams from $180 to around $300 something thereabouts, depending on whether you are writing your exam from Europe, from Africa, from Australia, from US. One of the reasons why I also love this certification, reviewing it, is that this certification is very, very minimalistic. It's not like the Cisco ITN or ITE or like the CompTIA N+. It's very straight to the point, right? If you review it compared to other entry-level networking certification, it's just get to anybody without so much experience, somebody that you can use your PC, you can browse, you can do some little typing, you understand how to do. You're an average user of the computer, and you want to get into tech, you want to get into first line kind of jobs, you could do the support technician networking track, right? So it's very straight to the point. It's not bulky. And it's if you read well, if you study well, if you go through this program, in the next 30 days, you'll be able to write your exam and pass. Okay, so it's going to cover things on network, how network operates, devices, media protocols, and of course, network communications, right? So I'm going to be supplying you all the content you're going to be needing, both free. Of course, most of the content I'm going to supply to you to help you prepare to be able to take this exam. Okay, so a little bit about the curriculum. The curriculum have, just a second. Okay, exam preparation. Okay, exam topics. So let me talk about the exam topic. Let me talk about the core items we have on the certification. So the certification covers 6 areas. It covers standards and concepts, right? So you should be able to understand what is a network, types of network, the different end devices, medium, all of those kind of stuff. You should be able to understand them with respect to a network. Concepts, definitions, right? Protocols, the OSI model. Those are the kind of things that you want to be able to understand in the module 1. And we're also going to be using content from ITN and ITE, that is Cisco Introduction to Networking, and of course, Cisco Information Technology Essentials. I will supply you all of those materials so that if you want to write the exam, it's going to just be a very very seamless exam for you. Okay, so you have also Module 2, which talks about addressing and subnet formats, right? Addressing and subnet formats. So if I want to be able to identify the systems, the devices I have on my network, how do I do that? So each system needs to have an identifier, right? So, and subnet, of course, supernet is going to be off this curriculum, as in beyond the scope of this curriculum. But a subnet is just to help you make a network be able to expand and have more addresses. Whereas a supernet is going to help you contract a network, right? If I have one IP address, how do I make that address to be able to have more devices? So that's what you do when you want to subnet, right? So a supernet is going to be able to like compress your network. So all of those kind of addressing scheme, what is NAT? Network addressing translation. How do you differentiate between IP version 4 and IP version 6? What are the advantages? Why do we even have IP version 6? All of those things are the things we're going to be considering in module 2. And in module 3, we're going to be looking at endpoint and media types. So typically, a network is end devices. So a network is going to comprise of end devices or endpoints. It's going to contain intermediary devices. A network is also going to contain connecting media, right? So that's how you tell the components of a network. So your end devices are going to be your your PCs, your printers, your at times your servers, depending what the end device is doing, whether it is collecting information or is sending out information. Those are your end devices, and your intermediary devices are those guys that are going to be in between your network. Take, for instance, you have a printer, is connected to a switch, right? This switch is still connected to a laptop, right? A laptop, right? And here you have a router connected, right? You have a router connected to this switch. So printer to this switch to this laptop. You can still have maybe another device here connect. Maybe you can also have maybe, let's say, a mobile phone, a phone connected to this router. So this is a network now. So a printer via cable to, okay, most printers we use maybe Wi-Fi. Yes, you still have some printers that are going to have an internet jack or internet port, so it's still possible. So once you have this as a network, so your end devices are going to be your printers, your laptops, your phones. Your intermediary devices are going to be these guys that are within your end devices, right? You can also have a server here that's connected to this switch, or a server that's connected to the router. Then your connecting media is going to be these guys. Maybe this is wireless, this is cable, you can have infrared, you can have fiber optics. So if you have to set up a network, it's going to be based on these 3 items: end device, intermediary, and of course, connecting media. So in this module, we're trying to learn about endpoints and media types. So the different items I can have on my network, that is the end devices, and also how I'm going to be able to connect them. So as a network engineer, as a support analyst, as a support technician, you should be able to identify most of these items, whether I'm going to be connecting through the regular cable or through Wi-Fi or through, let's say Cat5, Cat6, all of those kind of stuff are the things we're going to be learning here. The different types of cable. Why do we have twisted pair, copper, STP, shielded twisted pair cables? And you're going to understand all of those things, the advantages and the disadvantages. Of course, RJ11 is for telephone, RJ45 is for Ethernet. So all of those different types of things we're going to be learning in module 3. And in module 4, we're also going to be looking at infrastructure. So at times, somebody's going to say, I'm into network infrastructure, I'm into IT infrastructure. So the point there is, what makes up, how can you build your network, right? How can you build your network? So you are going to build your network by also understanding how you monitor your network. So that's why here we're going to be looking at different devices and how we can monitor them. When something is blinking amber or green or is stable, maybe solid green, stable, what does it mean, right? Because here you're trying to learn how to be a support technician. If there's an issue in your network, you're going to be the one you're going to be called. So how you really be able to identify that? How are you able to tell, okay, this is what the issue might be and all of that? Then cables, the different topologies, is it a star, is it a bus, is it a ring? We're going to see all of these things in great detail. So I'm just trying to do an overview for you. Now, you can't be a support technician if you can't diagnose, if you cannot tell what the problem can be or will be, or what the problem is. So you should be able to do some diagnostics. You should be able to say, okay, I think from what you have said, and this can be over telephone, this can be hands-on, this can be physical. So back then, CompTIA and Cisco, they used to have this remote desktop. They used to have certifications that have to do with remote positions. And if you understand how these things work, you can also give support to people remotely, right? It mustn't be physical. So it then means that you need to grasp most of these things and do. And in this training, we're also going to have quite a lot of labs. We should have roughly around 30 to 40 labs in all. The labs are going to encompass most of these 6 items. And there are going to be also some labs from the Cisco ITN and the Cisco ITE. Right? So diagnosing issues should be something, using tools like Wireshark, running ICMP commands, that is Internet Control Messaging Protocol, right? Using those kind of commands to like ping or try to get information from your devices to see what the issue might be. You might be trying to do a ping to try to see if there's connectivity. You might be trying to do an IP config to see what are the configurations I have on my device. You might be trying to do a traceroute if you're Windows, or traceroute, or I think on Mac. If you're trying to see, okay, how many hops do I have from device 1 to the next device or the next server? You might be trying to do a NS lookup, a name server lookup, right? To know, okay, which server am I connected to? All of those kind of stuffs are the things you want to be able to check to know what the issue might be. Then very, very crucial, these days in IT certifications, you don't conclude an IT certification without looking at security. So here we're going to learn some of the fundamentals of security. So things like CIA, confidentiality, integrity, availability. Confidentiality is trying to say, how can network technicians ensure that they set up a network that people cannot see what they're not supposed to see? So typically, how do we do access control? How do we make sure that a folder we have on the network can only be seen by who needs to see it? Integrity, how do we ensure that somebody cannot pilfer, somebody cannot change, somebody cannot alter? So are we going to be using tools? Are we going to be using processes? Are we going to be using some kind of methods? Are we going to be using technology to implement that integrity? How do we make sure that people don't change stuff? Availability, the person that needs to see information, is that information available to the person? Of course, authentication. So we're going to learn the 3, 4, 5 ways to do authentication. We normally say AAA, right? So you authenticate. If I have a network now, you want to say, put in your username and password on the network, or like if you get to a hotel, we have what we call the captive portal. Something that looks like this: captive portal, hotel login. Even in some offices, you have that. If you implement a gateway, or if you're using something like MikroTik, or you're using a Meraki, or any such kind of system, you need to enter your login. That is authentication. So you need to be authenticated. Authentication means we want to be double sure that you are who you say that you are. That's authentication. So by the time we do that, we need to now authorize. We need to now grant you access to stuffs. So from the authentication, we can tell whether this is a user, or this is an admin, or this is a super admin, or whatever, or this is just a subscriber. Now, we now authorize what you can do and what you shouldn't do. Even for your bank account, for instance, when you log in, you are not the account officer, you are not the manager, or you are not a technician or whatever. So there's a limit to what you are authorized to do. So that authorization is there. Then the last one is accounting. In accounting, we want to know what this particular person have done. So there should be a trail. So these are principles in security that a network technician should be able to understand. So you don't just set up a network. Security is at the heart of everything in tech now, whether it's data, whether it's cloud, whether it's network, whether it's mobile apps, whether it's whatever. You want to make sure that you're able to provide an authentication means. You want to be able to authorize people well and keep a trail of all of those authorization through accounting. And of course, MFA is you trying to do authentication. So it's a way to do authentication. If I just have enter your username and password, that is one level authentication. If I now have a second level of authentication where I now say, okay, I'm going to send an OTP to you. I'm going to send you an email. Put in that number on this stuff before you have access. So that is now multi-factor. If I'm going to use my iris, my biometrics, if I'm going to use location, on some networks, you can implement, okay, let it be that you cannot access it away from this particular IP address. If you're not using this IP address, you cannot access it. That is a way to do authentication. Of course, you're going to learn encryption, certificates, and all of that. So these are some of the security concepts we're going to be learning. So the Cisco CCST have about 6 modules. So this is the expanded version. Some things I just explained now. So I think I've dropped this in the group. And so it's a very straightforward curriculum compared to other Cisco entry-level certifications they've had in the time past. And of course, compared to every other vendor. So you just have CCST networking. Of course, you also have CCST cybersecurity. So CCST networking is going to be good for you. Like I said earlier on, if you want to do DevOps, if you want to do core networking, if you want to do SOC, if you want to do cloud, if you want to do anything of such. So it's very, very fundamental, very, very critical. Now, what are the kind of roles you can get into with your CCST? What can you call yourself once you get certified? Or what kind of roles are you going to be looking out for? Network support technician, IT support technician, help desk technician, IT support technician, or IT support specialist. So typically, anybody that's going to help us run our network, anybody that's going to help us make sure that we are up and running and we don't have issues. So those are the kind of roles, those are the kind of jobs that that you can get into as a network support technician. And of course, there is this one for security, still entry level. So these are entry level roles, right? Okay, I think you have the curriculum, you have the we've discussed this. And one also good thing about certification that it's for life. You have very few certifications that are for life. This one is for life. You don't need to do any recertification. And also, I think I've talked about most of these things. So I'm going to run this for, like I said, for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So happy learning. So as a complimentary content for this training to help you better prepare, we'll be using the Cisco ITE content and also the Cisco, let me just get that, ITN, the Cisco ITN content, right? And Cisco ITE content, right? So the Cisco ITE is Information Technology Essentials. So it has some hardware, basics about cloud, Windows. You see, security is always there. Some stuff about troubleshooting, all of those, right? Then the ITN, you have complementary materials in networking, all those end devices, intermediary devices. The idea is so that you are very, very grounded if you need to do something advanced later on after now. Because like I said, Cisco have minified they've minified the content you have in this curriculum, so it can prepare you to do either core networking or cyber ops. For the students we have doing cybersecurity internship, you are going to be taking this cyber ops, or if you want to go into automation, DevNet, or if you want to do something in the cloud, maybe Microsoft data engineering, or others Azure, or you want to do something on data cloud, or you want to do AWS, or you want to do DevOps, or you want to do cybersecurity. So it gives you a good foundation. So most of this content have been minified, have been like made very, very like straight to the point. So these two content I'm going to be supplying to you, I'm going to drop it on the group before midnight. It's going to be your supporting materials. Then I'm going to now have, we're going to have a series of labs. They are going to be between 30 to like 40, 50 that we're going to be running through the training. And the approach of your learning, the learning is going to be that you're going to go through most of these materials, and our focus in class is going to be the hands-on, is going to be the case studies, is going to be the examples. So we're not going to run through slides in classes. What we're going to be doing is to do the case studies and hands-on.